So Etsy and Printify, it was Printify, have spoken out about the GPSR, given some more details to us all. If you are not sure about this, the GPSR is the General Product Safety Regulations. It came into force yesterday, and Etsy updated its policy, updated its advice to us yesterday, like yesterday evening in EU time. But better late than never. The TLDR from the Etsy point of view is basically, yep, we know there's some problems with our systems. We've not done anything about it yet. Give us some time. Stop bugging us. um, Printify's given some good advice as well. If you haven't heard anything about this, I'm not surprised. This should be up on your Etsy dashboard. Etsy hasn't done this. People need to know because the vast majority of Etsy sellers are not in Etsy forums. They're not in Etsy groups. They're not reading all of this. So if you have your friends that sell on Etsy, share with them some of the GPSR stuff. If it's some of my videos, thank you very much. But even if it's not, share away. I'm trying to find out everything I can. But myself, Etsy, Printify, anyone else, we're not legal entities and we're not giving legal advice. I'm just letting you know what I've found so far, and I'm trying to find out more. I am talking to legally people as well to get the proper things, but I just want to cover what I know just now. But let's look into what Etsy's saying just now. First of all, their help article. What is the General Product Safety Regulations, GPSR? It ensures that non-food consumer products on the EU markets are safe. It's more than non-food, but we'll get into that. GPSR comes into effect December the 13th, so yesterday, assuming I get this video edited in time, and puts into place specific requirements for sellers who sell to EU markets. Who does this apply to? Sellers who sell items onto the EU market, regardless of the seller's location, may fall under the GPSR requirements. Etsy saying may fall under because there's certain products that have and have always had stricter regulations. I think food stuff, electronics, children's toys always had stricter guidelines. So it's not saying that you don't have to do these things if you're in these. It's saying basically everybody else is now included in having to do things. So what do sellers selling to the EU markets need to do for GPSR? Add an economic operator to your account. Etsy have given us a way to do this. It's an approved person within the EU who I believe from next year will have to take accountability. Like you're going to have to pay them. So they're the face that if someone in the EU has trouble, they go to them and they should have all your documentations to say, Sarah there did everything she could. Her item was safe. It was your own stupid idea. Or to come back to you and say, hey, there might be something wrong with this batch of things. Let's look into it. This is just my understanding of it. Update your listing descriptions to include manufacturer's details, including manufacturer contact information and product safety warnings. For most of the cases, we are our own manufacturer. If you have vintage items, this is a little more difficult. Product safety warnings. I will be going into more of this, but quite a lot of it is not necessarily as scary as it sounds. If you're buying good quality, decent goods, they should be safe anyway. You should have the safety documentations, and then just looking into what you've made, how are you mitigating risks? For instance, in my needle felted sculptures, there's a chance I might break a needle in my needle felted sculptures. If I do, this is the thing that I've always done. If I do, I make sure that I dig it out, even if it means scrapping the item that I was creating, but I dig it out, I make sure there's no sharps left in it. The same, there's no way to use safety eyes in these kind of products, so these are not intended for children. So It's things you've probably thought about or you should have thought about. You're not trying to injure people with what you sell. And then obviously review the general product safety regulations to determine additional updates you need to make to your specific shop. I would love if Etsy gave us more details, but this is their help article. I will leave links to all of this, and then they've got the seller handbook article, which is what they just updated yesterday. But before we get into that, I want to go to Printify's website because they actually gave us some more details. I hoped the print on demand companies were going to help you, and they really seem to have done pretty well. They've even got to update your product listings, follow these steps. But starting the 13th of December, starting yesterday, the EU will mandate that all products listings for items shipped to or within the EU and Northern Ireland include additional product information. This is part of the GPSR to ensure product safety across the EU. And I know this all sounds scary, but this is, spoke about this in the eRank Live. When you buy something in your country, you know there are safety things in check. If I walk into a Boots the Chemist, everything I buy should be legal to buy in the UK, so it should have the standards that we expect to have in the UK. But if I'm ordering something from Amazon that's coming from overseas, it doesn't have these, it's not as safe. So the EU is just saying, hang on, there's a loophole where people are bringing in things from these platforms and they're not as safe as they should be. So it does make sense. There is a good chance the rest of the world is going to follow, or at least the UK, probably America, Canada, Australia, lots of places are going to follow with this probably. So it is as well to keep an eye out for it. So what are the new product listing requirements for items shipped to or within the EU and Northern Ireland? So this is, let's see if this is similar to what Etsy said. Businesses and responsible persons information to meet the responsible person's requirements. Printify will provide the necessary contact information of an affiliate of Printify for all products. So Printify are going to be the responsible person for you in the EU, by the sounds of it, which is fantastic. Great job. Nice and easy for print on demand people. You'll be able to indicate your information as well if you wish to do so. If you wish to do so, I think you do have to, because you would be considered the manufacturer because you're creating the design. This is just my thought, which I'm not a big fan of my address being everywhere, but I think Etsy already has set this up for us. And product information. This includes product identification, country of origin, compliance details, age restrictions, handling instructions, and applicable warnings and hazard information. Printify will supply all the required product information, which is fantastic because Printify are printing your items on products they know about. Again, that's not necessarily difficult for us sellers as well who aren't using print on demand. It's maybe we just need to make a little flyer to go into our listings. It could be as simple as putting a QR code that takes you back to the FAQ page on your Etsy listing, but I'll find out about this. Because if you did that, then it's automatically translated into all languages. Warranty information. Excuse me. The GPSR mandates to include in the description the general EU product warranty of 2 years for products sold within the EU and Northern Ireland, which is interesting. I haven't heard the 2 years. There used to be, if you didn't have policies in place, then automatically they had a 2-year warranty. Now, print on demand, interesting. As the seller, you are responsible for providing your customers with a refund or replacement if a product defect occurs after the first 30 days, which are covered by Printify's policy. So, I'm a little confused how Printify can do this. If the Printify are saying sort of we're the manufacturer, we're the responsible person, but you've got to provide a 2-year warranty, but Printify is only covering the first 30 days. Because if the items defect, I mean, a t-shirt, like a print-on-demand t-shirt with a 2-year warranty, there must be loopholes in this, because you can reasonably expect to wear out a t-shirt in 2 years if you were wearing it all the time. Does the seller need to provide a physical mailing address? Yes, product listings must contain contact information, including a physical address within the EU. If you don't have an EU address, you can use the address of affiliate of Printify. So this is your responsible persons. Printify is providing it for you. For the rest of us, this is where we have to appoint an approved person, which costs a bit of money. I'm looking into them. There are some options for about 100 to 200 pounds, dollars, euros, which is a bit easier to swallow than the first ones I seen were 1,000, 2,000. So it's a little better. It does mean that for some smaller shops, it might be worthwhile. Still, for the majority of us, we're probably not turning over 100, 200 pounds, dollars, euros worth of sales to the EU. So it still might not be worth it. What happens if my products fail to comply with it? It's the responsibility of the seller or store owner to ensure compliance with a GPSR, which is what is annoying me a little bit about Etsy. It's our responsibility to comply with this, but regular sellers don't check everything. They're not following laws all the time. They rely on Etsy to tell them. And these are articles that Etsy are putting out without I've not seen any emails on this. You have to dig to find the articles. I've not seen any pop-ups on my dashboard telling me this thing has changed. Most people aren't in the forums and stuff. So yeah, which applies to all sales platforms, including individual stores and marketplaces. So when I'd heard sales platforms, I thought, is this just Printify and Etsy and all that? But no, individual stores. So if you're selling in your own shop, on your own website, which is tricky. Failure to comply when selling on a marketplace could lead your products to being blocked or your listings becoming invisible to customers in the EU and Northern Ireland. I had heard there was chance of fines. I suppose if not legal advice, I suppose it's difficult for them to chase up people in different countries. So if the only penalty is your items would be blocked from the EU and Northern Ireland, that's not such a big penalty. In reality, most of us kind of want to, if we're wanting to not sell there, we'd like it to be blocked. But if it's a permanent block, that could be a problem if you wanted to go ahead and sell there in the future. And it depends how they block it. If it's being blocked by them contacting Etsy and say we're breaking the rules, then Etsy might get us into trouble for something that's not our fault. So we could get a strike against our shop. I'm speculating. Is there any way to avoid this? If you're selling to the EU or Northern Ireland, by the way, for people who don't know, because I don't expect everyone to know the intricacies of the United Kingdom, if you sell to the United Kingdom, Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom. But it's also under the EU regulations. So if you sell to Northern Ireland, well, if you sell to the UK, you can't at the minute in time switch off Northern Ireland unless Etsy's changed it, but I don't think so. You can set some sales channels not to deliver to certain locations. What's the relationship between the affiliate company and Printify. The company is an affiliate of Printify, providing assistance regarding GPSR matters. This allows us to provide assistance to online sellers for GPSR purposes, in case a seller doesn't have a physical address in the EU, to ensure EU responsible person requirements. A seller can use the provided contact details. So well done, Printify. I'm impressed with that. Print on demand sellers, I'm super happy for you. I'm a little bit annoyed that this is just making everything so much easier for print on demand people, which there are some great print on demand shops, but there's a lot of not good ones. And basically, this is almost shutting off all small handmade people to sell to the EU, except for print on demand people. Just my 2p worth there. Will the GPSR business information be visible to my customers? And if so, where will it appear? Currently, it will be displayed only on your product listings. We'll keep you informed about any additional, if any, requirements as they become relevant. I just have to say, well done, Printify, for keeping up to date on this. If you prefer not to have this information visible on your product or listings, you must provide your own EU or Northern Ireland contact details, which can include your full name, address, or email. Oh, drat. I was about to say, is this cool? Has Printify got legal advice on behalf of sellers? And then I just saw the note at the bottom there. Anyway, can I continue selling more products if you haven't yet provided the necessary product information? In case you don't provide respective information required under GPSR, you will not be compliant with the respective regulations requirements and subject to liability for non-compliance. Your product listings might be removed by sales channels such as Amazon or Etsy. Right. So Amazon or Etsy would be the ones removing them. So the EU would go, hey, Etsy, Sarah's not doing the right thing. Take this down. I don't know why I'm picking on a Sarah. In accordance with their internal processes, and there might be monetary fines as well. Be sure to consult your legal counsel for advice on GPSR. And there's a list of the EU member states and Northern Ireland. Okay, so Printify are saying this is not legal advice. You have to take your own legal advice. Yes, I had hoped Printify, Etsy, and all of these would take legal advice. Yeah. But at least Printify are taking responsibility as they've appointed authorized representative on your behalf, which is good. It is easier for them because they have all the technical details of what they're sending, because they're creating it. You're just making the digital file to be printed onto it. They know what inks are being used, how the t-shirts are manufactured, or if it's not t-shirts, they know all of this. So it's good that they're doing this. Let's jump into what Etsy is doing. So they just updated this yesterday, late on in the day. So anyway, product safety essentials, selling consumer products to Europe under the GPSR, information and resources to promote safety and help you comply with applicable requirements under the general product safety regulations. I should say now, I know there will probably be quite a lot of comments on this video. There always is. Some regulations are always open to interpretation, so people have different ideas of what is the right thing to do. As I said, this is not legal advice, and if you're not sure, probably the best thing to do is pop your shop on vacation mode, shut off shipping to places, but digital sellers, people in the UK, people shipping to the UK, can't necessarily, it feels like we can't follow the guidelines with the regulations. So currently I have put my shop into vacation mode because I want to learn more about the regulations first, and also because I want a break. Basically, I want a break. I've not had the best year on Etsy. I've done pretty terribly, so I want to start the next year on a high. And hopefully by next year, we'll have a better idea of what's going on. So that's just letting you know what I've done currently. This article is intended as a practical guide for sellers to address common product safety questions. Sellers are ultimately responsible for the safety and compliance of their products. Yes, I agree. We're absolutely responsible for the safety of our products. A little help with compliance would be good. GPSR took effect on December the 13th, and the guidance will continue to evolve. European Commission is expected to release guidance on compliance for small and medium businesses and micro enterprises in the near future. We'll update this page as new relevant information is available, and I'll keep an eye out for that myself. So the EU is looking into what's happening with micro enterprises, which is probably most of us. Most of us are probably not even medium-sized businesses. We're a micro enterprise. So I'll keep an eye out for that as well. It is a pain that there's not guidance really out there for us yet. The General Product Safety Regulations, effective the 13th of December 2024, aims to ensure that products in the EU, European Union, and Northern Ireland markets are safe and establishes specific safety obligations. It replaces the GPSD, General Product Safety Directive. So Etsy are aware that Northern Ireland is an issue here. They mention it. GPSR applies to non-food consumer products and extends to new and second-hand products, as well as products that are repaired, reconditioned, or recycled. Full list of the items out of scope of the GPSR you can learn by checking Article 2 of the GPSR. So there'll be the link for you to say there. I'm going to say most sellers have to comply with this, unless it's health related equipment, which you should already be complying with a lot of things, electrical things like that. GPSR may apply to you if you're what the GPSR refers to as a trader, which may include businesses or professional sellers. I think it's pretty sure that it does apply to us. At the minute in time, it certainly appears to apply to us. That list items for sale to the EU and Northern Ireland. The GPSR may also apply if you manufacture, import, or distribute products made available in EU or Northern Ireland. Since Etsy is unable to advise whether or not this applies to you, you may want to consult a legal professional with further questions. The advice that I've got so far is yes, all us that are making, designing, creating stuff to sell in the EU, it likely does apply to us, unless stronger regulations already apply to us. We expect the European Commission to provide more guidance. So the key requirements, we've been over these, but this article goes into them in more detail. So responsible person, products covered under the GPSR must have a EU or Northern Ireland based economic operator as a responsible person in order to be placed in the market. A responsible person can be one of the following if based in the EU or Northern Ireland: the manufacturer, an importer if the manufacturer is not established in the EU or Northern Ireland, an authorised representative mandated by the manufacturer. This is likely what's going to cover most of us if we're not print on demand, an authorised representative. So we are the manufacturer, and basically we have to find a person, a company willing to take the legal obligations here. And because this is not like your mum or your aunt that lives in Northern Ireland in general, as far as I can see. A fulfillment service provider if the manufacturer, importer, and authorised representative aren't based in the EU or Northern Ireland. Among ETSI's obligations to ensure traders are available to provide this information, more information on economic operators can be found below in the ETSI's Help Centre article. So this is, I was going to say it's the big one. It's the one that most people are talking about. You've got to get an authorised representative. This is somebody, I've already said, a contact if something goes wrong with your items. Okay, listing information. ETSI's responsibility under GPSR include enabling traders to provide the following information on their listings: the name, registered trade name or registered trademark of the manufacturer, as well as the postal and electronic address at which they can be contacted. This is the thing, if something goes wrong, people need to be able to get back to you. Where the manufacturer is not established in the EU or Northern Ireland, the name, postal and electronic address of the responsible person. So in our listings, people need to be able to find out about us and about the responsible person. Information allowing the identification of the product, including a picture of it and its type and any other product identifiers. Hopefully, our listings have pictures on them, so identifiable. Hopefully, that's good enough in the listing. Any warning or safety information to be affixed to the product or to the packaging or included in an accompanying document in the language which can be easily understood by consumers. Safety information as required by the union law. This could, for example, include instructions for safe use or safety risk warnings. The problem here is in a language which can be easily understood. Usually people are saying in the language of the country. I have had some people tell me this could also be something like a QR code for safety instructions that perhaps takes them back to your FAQs on your ETSI listing. But yeah, something I'm not sure of, we have to look into. The Help Centre article only shows you how to update your listings. It doesn't explain things. Okay, updates to expect. We're committed to providing you with update information as we learn more. To be fair to them, ETSI are at least trying to figure out all of this and have made this article. I just wish they'd done it sooner and they'd let more people know. So let all your seller friends know. As we evolve our operations to help you comply with the GPSR included updated compliance guidance for small and medium businesses. We'll update this page as soon as we know from the European Commission. A solution for sellers who wish to continue offering their digital items to Northern Ireland and the EU. Because if you sell digital items, you can't choose what countries they sell to. They sell globally. We're actively working on this and will provide an update on timing by December the 31st. That's half a month too late. In the meantime, if you wish to cancel an existing transaction, the process for cancelling a sale is here. This is not good enough, in my opinion. Firstly, the regulations are for anything made available to sell, not for anything sold. So we would still, in my understanding, be breaking the rules. And also, if you have automatic digital downloads, people might buy stuff when you're asleep, download it. So you have already sold. Your product has gone into the EU. Even if you come out and cancel the order, you can't take the item back, the file. Now, I know people are saying, oh, what's the problem with digital files? Digital is still included in these regulations, and there could be problems. You could have viruses on them. It could contain unsafe information for people to create things that they shouldn't be allowed to create or whatever else. So, or the information could be wrong, that if you followed it thinking you were creating something safe, it might end up being something unsafe. I suppose these are my speculations. A solution for sellers who wish to continue offering their items to Northern Ireland buyers. We're actively working on this and will provide an update on the timing by December the 31st. Until then, you may consider below interim options. Update your shipping locations. I can't. I'm in the UK and I have to sell to the UK, and the UK includes Northern Ireland. But for everyone who doesn't, I have made a video with my friends Brian and Jessica showing you how to turn off shipping if your shop's in the UK, in America, or in Canada for physical and digital items. For physical and print on demand items. Learn how to cancel certain orders here. Yeah, very good. Okay, the FAQs are good. They've definitely updated them, so I'll go through them quickly. Does the GPSR apply in the United Kingdom? Since Brexit, the United Kingdom is not part of the European Union anymore. Therefore, GPSR does not apply to products sold in England, Wales, and Scotland, but yes to Northern Ireland. For the United Kingdom, manufacturers must comply with the UK General Product Safety Regulations, similar to the EU legislations. The thing is, nothing's changed here. We should have been doing it already, but we kind of didn't know. The UK GPSR creates a net of safety requirements. There are no specific safety regulations covering that kind of product, where there are no specific safety regulations covering that kind of product. Additionally, manufacturers can consult references to internal standards in order to comply with the UK GPSR. The list of standards include, for example, products such as furniture, training equipment, child use and care articles, lighters, etc. If I'm a seller located in the US or another market outside the EU, does the GPSR apply to me? The GPSR may apply to you if you're a trader, which may include businesses or professional sellers. As far as I know, the answer is yes. Everywhere else says yes, it does. That list items for sale to the EU or Northern Ireland, or if you manufacture, import, or distribute products available to the EU or Northern Ireland consumers, regardless of where you're located. Yes, it applies to us. We expect more guidance for small and medium businesses and micro enterprises to be released by the European Commission imminently. As far as I know, everyone else is saying this does apply to us. Etsy's like, it might. What happens if my product's not GPSR compliant? Let's see what Etsy says about this. If a product is subject to GPSR but doesn't meet its requirements, the product may be considered a dangerous product. This can lead to the EU or Northern Ireland authorities taking corrective action, including imposing fines, banning, or removing the product from the market. Oh, here we go. Should Etsy receive notification from an authority that your product is non-compliant, we will take appropriate action. Oh, I'm angry here. Which may include removing your listing and or suspending your account. So regulations that we can't comply with because Etsy hasn't given us the tools in place. If the EU come back, Etsy may suspend our account for things that is Etsy's. Moving on nicely. If a product is subject to such corrective action by the relevant market surveillance authority of an EU member state, this will be published on SafetyGate, an EU rapid alert system for dangerous non-food products, which could lead to other authorities to require similar action in their jurisdiction. Ooh. So, if someone in France sees your items coming down and tells Etsy, stop this and fine them, they're going to put it up somewhere on a big EU database, and all the rest of the countries might come in and go, hey, ETC, Susan's listing, take down Susan's listing. I'm sorry if you're called Susan. So if you have a reason to believe a product you placed on the EU market is a dangerous product, you must immediately, obviously, take corrective measures such as withdrawal or recall. But they can decide our product is a dangerous product just if we don't comply with the regulations. Inform consumers using the required recall notice template where appropriate. So, yeah, you've got to keep an eye on who's bought what. Oh, I'm thinking maybe SKUs on Etsy might be a thing. So for each product type, you have an SKU, so you can look up who's bought everything under this type. So you might make a different SKU for every time you change your manufacturer or something, but you'd be able to go, right, here's everybody that's bought this. Inform market surveillance authorities of the member states which the product has been made through the gateway. Good grief. Should you or a national competent authority decide that a product recall is necessary, you must offer effective, cost-free and timely remedy to your buyer, including at least two of the following: a repair of the recalled product, replacement of the recalled product, with a safe one at the same type and at least the same value and quality, an adequate refund of the value of the recalled product, at least equal to the price paid by the buyer. Ooh. So repair, replacement, or refund. Nice. Hopefully our items aren't dangerous. What happens if my product causes an accident? Ooh, it's scary. These aren't the things we're necessarily worried about. Our stuff should be safe. You can read that. Can you provide more information on the responsible person? Responsible person's duties include maintaining the product's technical documentation and providing them to the authorities on request. This is why you're having to pay someone, because they have to maintain your technical documentation. So you're going to have to talk to someone about what you make so that they have your documentation. Ensuring the product complies with certain information requirements, such as including a type, batch, serial number, or other identifier, so that you know all these things were made with the same way, with the same thing, I guess. Manufacturer's name, their registered trade name, or registered trademark and contact information. So for most of us, it's just manufacturer's name, because we probably aren't trademarked or anything. Clear instructions and safety information in a language that can be easily understood by consumers. So bearing in mind this is to the EU, there's a lot of languages out there. Clear instructions and safety information. Yeah, I just read that, but clear instructions and safety information. So you can do care instructions and things on your FAQs. This is something we should be thinking about for everywhere anyway. Informing authorities about dangerous products and accidents. I think the easiest thing there is to not have dangerous products. Cooperating with the authorities and ensuring necessary corrective actions. So Etsy helps you. Etsy does have a system in place for you to add the details of your responsible person. That is something you can do on your listings now. For example, before and after a product is placed on the market, manufacturers are responsible for ensuring their products are safe by carrying out risk analysis, drawing up and maintaining technical documentation, ensuring products are compliant and traceable, providing clear instructions and safety information, taking corrective actions and notifying safety issues to consumers and authorities. We recommend that you review guidance regarding the product safety business obligations published by the European commission for more information. Now, this all sounds really scary, but I have been talking to people and it does seem like it'll be a whole lot simpler. We just have to keep what we should be doing is keeping a note of what we've bought. If we're buying things from decent people, they should have the safety instructions, the technical specifications. So if you buy a batch of paint, make a note of what paint it is and a link to their safety documentation and a way for you to track what items you've created using that paint. So yeah, it might require a tiny bit more paperwork on your behalf, but we probably should have been doing this anyway. So I made this with this. Fair enough. It's a system we can get in place. Are there any products exempt from GPSR? So medical products for human or veterinary use, food, feed, living plants and animals, animal byproducts, plant protection products like pesticides, equipment which consumers ride or travel on, aircraft, and antiques. This is because there's already stronger regulations in place for a lot of these things. How should I distinguish between an antique and second-hand? Good question. Antiques, such as works of art and collector's items, are out of the scope of this regulation, and consumers can't reasonably expect they meet state-of-the-art safety requirements. And an antique is goods that are more than 100 years old. Now, ETSI allows vintage for anything that's over 20 years old. So if your item is 90 years old, then you're still going to have to figure out some of this. So that's interesting. How can I know if my item qualifies as a collector's item or a work of art? Now, people have said if your item is a work of art, it's exempt. But here we're seeing it's in antiques that are works of art or collector's items. So it's not just your item. Yes, so that makes it sound like everything that if we're making it's art, but it's not. So broadly speaking, works of art relate to items created solely for artistic expression, and collector's items are those of sufficient historical or scientific significance to justify preservation. So it's not just works of art, it's old enough works of art. So okay, this 500-year-old painting probably contains toxic substances in the paint, but it's worth preserving this. This is important historically. If I use production partners, how I'm affected? Should I display information on my listing to comply with GPSR? Depending on what role your production partner plays in an item, they may have obligations under the GPSR. Please encourage your production partner to review the article. So Printify, we've seen, have already done that. If an item purchased before December the 13th is returned after December the 13th, is it affected by GPSR? GPSR applies to items made available on the EU or Northern Ireland market from December the 13th onwards. Now, people are disputing this one in that some companies, including the likes of Folksy, are saying if your item was created and listed before December the 13th, it's okay, even if it's not sold yet. Other people are saying no, it had to have already been in the EU before December the 13th. Not clear, to be perfectly honest. But yes, if you've already shipped it, someone got it 2 days ago, decide they don't like it, and sending it back, you should be okay. If I sell multiple types of products in my shop and one type is exempt, how do I stay compliant? Recommend sellers review their items individually and obtain advice from a legal professional. Yeah. Here's another one that's been absolutely huge. People are saying digital items can't apply. Does the GPSR apply to digital items? European Commission released Q&A guidance documents. Should we have a look at that? Sorry, this is going to be a long video, but it's interesting. For businesses stating that GPSR applies to all types of products, physical or digital products, including software, that are placed or made available on the EU single market. If they're not already regulated by an existing union law, you may wish to consult a legal expert, but yes, applies to all types, physical and digital. We're expecting more guidance. Can I continue shipping to Northern Ireland? We're looking for a solution for sellers who wish to discontinue offering their items to Northern Ireland. We're working on improvements. You can cancel. Great. Can I stop offering my digital listings to EU and Northern Ireland? No, you can just cancel. But you can't because it's already digital downloaded. Yeah. Okay, will Etsy close shops that don't comply with GPSR? If a product is subject to GPSR but does not meet its requirements, the product may be considered a dangerous product. This can lead to EU or NI authorities taking corrective action, such as imposing fines, banning, or removing the product from the market. Should Etsy receive a notification from an authority that your product is non-compliant, will take appropriate action, which may include removing your listing or suspending your account. I've already ranted about this. We can't comply if many of us just cannot comply because of how Etsy is just now. And if we don't comply, Etsy will suspend our account. Yeah. Will cancelling sales affect my star seller customer service stats? Nope, cancelled orders don't count towards the minimum threshold for orders, don't count towards your customer service metrics. Will Etsy remove negative reviews left by these buyers? Good. Good question. To have a review considered for removal, please report it by select and report this review. Etsy's team will determine whether the review violates our policies. But yeah, so if someone buys from you and they're in these places and Etsy's told us to cancel, you cancel, but Etsy still sends out its notifications going, hey, review this, because we haven't cancelled everything at the back end, so you can review this non-order. So they give a bad review, and yeah, that sits on your shop. So Etsy saying, well, consider if it breaks our policies, but a review saying they didn't like it because you cancelled doesn't violate Etsy's policies. So I bet you Etsy won't remove negative reviews. And oh, here we go. Yeah, I cancelled this order to comply. Why was the buyer able to leave a review? The buyer has a 48-hour window which they can leave and edit a review. You can report it. Etsy's team will determine. Yes. Friendly disclaimer. Why are friendly disclaimers never friendly? If you list products, you must comply with all the federal, state, and local requirements and Etsy's policies. Etsy let people know about this. But anyway, okay, let's see what the FAQs were. Questions. I don't want to download something just now, but there'll be links. You can have a look at them. I don't want to download it because you won't be able to see it on the screen. Okay, here are some. How can you use European standards? What are obligations? Before a product is offered, whether online or offline. So even if you're Yeah, so if you're selling on offline as well, businesses must ensure the product complies with applicable legislation, risk analysis, technical documentation, responsible person. What we'd need is just some examples of these. Show us an example of risk analysis. Show us the technical documentation. I'll have a look into these things. In case you're a business playing multiple roles in the supply chain, the roles are not mutually exclusive. Every company must meet the obligations. We are probably selling multiple roles in the supply chain. We are manufacturing, we are importing into the country anyway. So, yeah. So if we find out it poses a health and safety risk, you have to recall everything, tell the right people. Hopefully, this isn't something we should ever have to worry about if we make sure our items are safe. But I suppose if other people are having to do with this, and I'll do a painting because it's the easiest. You made a painting, you had all the documentation, it said it was safe, but then suddenly your manufacturer of the paint gave you a message saying, we've got to recall this because there was a problem with this batch of paint. It's now a hazard. You have to therefore go down your chain to everyone who's bought from this batch of paint. So, yeah, okay. It just makes things difficult. It makes sense, but it makes things difficult. Recalls, safety business gateway, so where people can report you if you're dangerous. Okay, but you can go and check on these. I don't want to spend all day with this. That's an hour of talking already. I doubt anyone's got to the end, but if you have got to the end, bear in mind that everything is open to interpretation. If somebody says something in the comments that is the opposite of what you've read into this, it doesn't mean that they know any more than you. Unless they're a legal person, unless they're your legal representative, everything here is all speculation and rumor, but we're all banding together to try and figure things out. So have a look at the comments, ask your questions down below. I am trying to talk to as many proper legal people as I can to get answers to your questions. I will keep you updated with all of this. Yeah, it has to be going down just as we're getting into the holidays, but let me know what you all think. Yeah, thank you so much.